Have you ever felt embarrassed by your own story? Like if people truly knew how things turned out, they would see you differently. What if the shame you carry is not proof of failure, but proof that you cared deeply and tried? Many people walk through life carrying quiet shame. A failed relationship, a business that collapsed, exams not passed, opportunities missed, promises not kept. Over time, these experiences gather into a heavy belief: I have failed at life. And when that belief settles in the heart, confidence slowly disappears. Buddhist wisdom offers a different way of seeing. It does not deny pain. It does not pretend failure feels good. But it gently asks you to look deeper. Failure is not an identity. It is an experience. In this reflection, you will discover 6 lessons to rebuild your confidence after feeling lost, behind, or defeated. Listen slowly. Let these words meet the places in you that feel tired. You are not too late. You are not beyond repair. You are still becoming. Lesson 1. You are not your past. Release the identity of failure. The first lesson is quiet but essential. You are not your past. In Buddhism, there is a teaching called anatta, non-self. It reminds us that what we call me is not a fixed object. It is a collection of changing experiences, thoughts, habits, and conditions. Nothing about you is frozen in time. And yet, when you fail, you often do something very human. You turn an event into an identity. I failed becomes I am a failure. Notice the difference. One describes something that happened. The other defines who you believe you are. This shift may seem small, but it changes everything. When you attach your identity to past mistakes, confidence has no room to grow. You begin filtering every new opportunity through an old conclusion. You hesitate before trying. You doubt before beginning. You expect disappointment before effort. Over time, this expectation becomes self-fulfilling. Buddhist wisdom gently interrupts this pattern. It asks you to look at your life the way you would watch clouds passing through the sky. Each experience appears, changes, and dissolves. None of them stay. None of them are permanent. Your past failures are clouds. They are not the sky. Right now, pause for a moment and reflect. What specific event have you allowed to define you? Was it a career that did not succeed? A relationship that ended painfully? A financial decision that cost you stability? A dream that collapsed? Notice how your body feels when you think about it. Notice the tension. Notice the story. Now ask yourself quietly, is this event happening right now? Or is it a memory? Memories are powerful. They carry emotion. They feel real. But they are not happening in this moment. They are echoes. Confidence cannot grow in a mind that constantly replays echoes. To rebuild your confidence, you must gently separate who you are from what happened. Try this practice. When a memory of failure arises, instead of saying, I am a failure, say, that was a difficult experience. Language matters. It shapes identity. Instead of, I always mess things up, say, I made a mistake and I can learn from it. Instead of, nothing works out for me, say, some things have not worked out yet. This is not denial, it is clarity. In Buddhism, suffering increases when we cling, especially when we cling to painful narratives. The more tightly you hold the story of failure, the heavier it becomes. Releasing identity does not mean forgetting the past. It means refusing to let it imprison you. You are not the same person you were 5 years ago, not even the same person you were yesterday. Every moment, your thoughts shift, your body changes, your understanding deepens. Confidence is not something you recover from the past. It is something you grow in the present. Right now, you are breathing. Right now, you are listening. Right now, you are capable of taking a new step. The past cannot stop you from acting today unless you let it. Buddhist practice often returns to one simple truth. In this moment, you are free to choose your next action, not your entire future, not a perfect life, just your next step. And confidence begins there, not with a grand victory, but with the decision to stop defining yourself by what no longer exists. You are not your worst moment. You are the awareness that survived it. Let that be your starting point. Lesson 2. Failure is a teacher. Shift from shame to curiosity. The second lesson may feel uncomfortable, but it is transformative. Failure is not punishment. It is instruction. When something collapses in your life, the first emotion is often shame. Shame says, you should have known better. Everyone else is ahead of you. You are not enough. Shame closes the heart. It makes you want to hide. But Buddhist wisdom approaches difficulty differently. The Buddha taught that suffering, when observed carefully, becomes a path to insight. Every painful experience contains information, not about your worth, but about cause and effect. This is the law of karma, often misunderstood. Karma is not cosmic revenge. It is simply the understanding that actions lead to results. When something fails, instead of collapsing into shame, you can ask, what conditions led to this? Was I acting from fear? Was I seeking validation? Was I ignoring red flags? Was I attached to an outcome at any cost? Was I avoiding difficult conversations? Curiosity opens space. Shame closes it. Confidence cannot regrow in a mind that punishes itself constantly, but it can regrow in a mind that is willing to learn. Think of a time you failed at something important. Instead of replaying the embarrassment, examine the experience like a compassionate investigator, not to accuse, but to understand. Perhaps you rushed into a business without preparation. Perhaps you stayed too long in a relationship out of loneliness. Perhaps you avoided improving a skill because you feared criticism. Each of these insights, though painful, is wisdom, and wisdom builds real confidence, not fragile ego, but grounded self-trust. There is a difference between confidence built on success and confidence built on understanding. Success-based confidence says, I am confident because things worked. Understanding-based confidence says, I am confident because I learn, adjust, and continue. The second type is far more resilient. In Buddhism, there is an emphasis on mindful reflection. After an action, you reflect gently. Did this lead to harm or peace? If it led to harm, you do not collapse into self-hatred. You simply commit to adjusting your behavior next time. This is how growth becomes natural instead of dramatic. Failure then becomes data, not destiny. You may feel behind in life. You may feel like others are moving forward while you are rebuilding from ruins. But consider this. Someone who has never failed deeply may have confidence, but it is often untested. Someone who has failed, reflected, and risen again carries a quieter, deeper strength. You are learning things that cannot be taught in classrooms: patience, humility, discernment, emotional awareness. These are foundations for a meaningful life. The next time you feel the weight of shame, pause and ask, what is this teaching me? What would a wiser version of me do differently next time? And most importantly, can I forgive myself for not knowing then what I know now? Confidence grows when self-forgiveness replaces self-condemnation. You are not meant to be perfect. You are meant to awaken. Let your failures become your teachers. They may be strict, but they are not against you. They are shaping you. Lesson 3. Stop comparing your timeline. Your path is not behind. There is a quiet habit that destroys confidence more than failure itself: comparison. You look at your life and see delays. You look at others and see progress. They seem stable. You feel uncertain. They seem accomplished. You feel unfinished. And slowly, a painful thought forms: I am behind. In Buddhist wisdom, much suffering comes not from what is happening, but from how the mind measures it. The moment you compare your path to someone else's, you step out of your own life and into a story that was never meant for you. Confidence weakens when you believe you are late. But late, according to whom? Society has timelines. By a certain age, you should be established. By a certain stage, you should be married. By a certain year, you should be financially secure. By now, you should have it together. These expectations are rarely spoken gently. They are absorbed silently. And when your life does not match them, you assume something is wrong with you. But Buddhism reminds us that life unfolds through conditions, countless visible and invisible causes that shape each person's journey. No two sets of conditions are identical. No two paths are meant to look the same. Some people succeed early and struggle later. Some struggle early and bloom later. Some change directions entirely. The mind that compares only sees surface outcomes. It does not see the hidden suffering, the unseen doubts, the silent fears of those you envy. When you compare, you distort reality, and distorted thinking erodes confidence. Pause for a moment. Think of someone you feel behind compared to. Notice what your mind says about them. They're ahead. They figured it out. They're more capable. Now ask yourself gently, do I know their inner world? Do I know their fears? Do I know the cost of their path? You likely do not. Comparison is built on incomplete information. In Buddhism, the practice of mindfulness teaches you to return to direct experience, your breath, your body, your present moment. When you are fully here, comparison loses its grip. Right now, in this moment, are you behind, or are you simply breathing, learning, trying? Confidence grows when you measure progress internally instead of externally. Instead of asking, am I ahead of others? Ask, am I more aware than I was last year? Am I kinder to myself than before? Have I learned something from my hardships? These are real indicators of growth. Life is not a race. It is a process of awakening. You are not late. You are unfolding. A lotus does not bloom because another lotus has bloomed. It opens when its own conditions are ready. In the same way, your life will open at the pace that matches your inner development. There is no universal schedule for healing, no deadline for rebuilding, no expiration date on becoming who you are meant to be. When you stop competing with imaginary timelines, something softens inside you. Pressure decreases. You begin making decisions based on alignment instead of urgency, and that alignment builds authentic confidence. Because now, your actions come from self-trust, not comparison. You are not behind. You are on a path that is uniquely yours. Walk it fully. Lesson 4. Rebuild confidence through small, steady action. After failure, many people wait to feel confident before acting again. But confidence does not come first. Action does. This may sound simple, but it is deeply aligned with Buddhist practice. The path is not built through dramatic transformation. It is built through small, consistent steps. When you have failed repeatedly, your mind may whisper, "What's the point? It won't work. I'll just embarrass myself again." These thoughts create paralysis, and paralysis reinforces the belief that you are incapable. To rebuild confidence, you must gently interrupt this cycle, not with grand gestures, but with small, doable actions. In Buddhism, discipline is not harshness, it is devotion to steady effort. The Buddha himself did not awaken overnight. His path was gradual, filled with trial and error. You do not need to fix your entire life this month. You need to take one step today. What is one small action aligned with the person you want to become? If you lost confidence in your career, perhaps it is updating one section of your resume. If you feel physically depleted, perhaps it is a short walk. If you feel socially withdrawn, perhaps it is sending one honest message to someone you trust. Small actions create evidence, and evidence rebuilds belief. The mind that says, "I can't," begins to soften when it sees proof that you can. When you complete a small task, pause and acknowledge it. Not with arrogance, with quiet recognition. "I kept my word to myself." This sentence is powerful. Failure often damages confidence because you feel you cannot rely on yourself anymore. You made plans you did not follow through on. You promised changes that did not stick. Confidence is rebuilt by restoring self-trust, and self-trust grows when your actions match your intentions. Do not overwhelm yourself with dramatic reinvention. When you aim too high too quickly, burnout returns, and another collapse only reinforces discouragement. Instead, think in terms of rhythm, daily rhythm, weekly rhythm, simple commitments you can sustain. Buddhist teachings emphasize the middle way, neither indulgence nor extreme effort. Rebuilding your life after failure requires this balance. Work steadily, rest intentionally, reflect honestly. If you stumble again, do not interpret it as total defeat. See it as feedback. Adjust. Continue. The goal is not perfection. The goal is momentum. Over time, these small steps compound, skills improve, stability returns, opportunities reappear. But more importantly, your inner narrative shifts from "I ruin everything" to "I am someone who keeps going." Confidence is not loud. It does not need to announce itself. It grows quietly through consistency. Every time you choose to act despite fear, you strengthen it. Every time you complete something small, you repair your relationship with yourself. You do not need to feel ready. You need to begin, and then begin again tomorrow. Confidence is built in repetition, not in a single victory. Take one step today, let it be enough. Lesson 5. Make peace with impermanence. Your lowest point is not permanent. There is a moment after repeated failure when life can feel frozen. You wake up and nothing seems to change. The same doubts, the same financial stress, the same unanswered messages, the same quiet disappointment in yourself. And slowly you begin to believe, this is my life now. This is as good as it gets. I will always be this version of me. This belief is more damaging than failure itself. In Buddhist wisdom, one of the most central teachings is impermanence, anicca. Everything changes, everything arises and passes away. Not sometimes, always. Your success changes, your relationships change, your body changes, your emotions change, and yes, your lowest point changes too. But when you are inside a difficult chapter, impermanence can feel like an abstract idea. The pain feels permanent. The embarrassment feels permanent. The regret feels permanent. Yet, if you look back at your own life, you will see evidence that nothing has ever stayed the same. Think about who you were 10 years ago. Your priorities were different. Your fears were different. Your understanding was different. Even your worst heartbreaks, which once felt unbearable, eventually softened. The intensity shifted. The story changed. Impermanence is not just a philosophical idea. It is observable reality. So why, after failing, do you assume this state will last forever? Because the mind, when hurt, seeks certainty. And sometimes the only certainty it can grasp is pessimism. It will always be this way, feels stable, even if it is painful. But it is not true. When you remember impermanence, something loosens inside you. You stop making permanent conclusions based on temporary conditions. Right now, you may be unemployed. Right now, you may feel lost. Right now, you may lack direction. But right now is not forever. Confidence rebuilds when you stop seeing your current state as your final identity. In Buddhism, there is a reflection practice, observing sensations in the body. When discomfort arises, instead of resisting it, you watch it closely. You notice how it shifts, sometimes intensifying, sometimes fading, sometimes transforming into something else. Even physical pain is not static. Your emotional pain works the same way. Failure feels overwhelming because you believe it defines the rest of your story. But stories evolve. A seed underground might think it has been buried. It does not realize it is being planted. You cannot always see growth while it is happening. Some transformations occur quietly, in your resilience, in your patience, in your clarity about what you no longer want. Perhaps you are more discerning now. Perhaps you are less naive. Perhaps you recognize your patterns more clearly. These are changes. And change is life moving. Impermanence also reminds you not to cling to self-judgment. The version of you who made past mistakes existed under certain conditions, less experience, less awareness, more fear. That version has already dissolved. You are not the same consciousness that made those choices. So why punish yourself endlessly? Instead, say quietly, this moment is not fixed. This feeling is not permanent. This chapter is not the whole book. When you internalize impermanence, patience grows. You stop demanding immediate redemption. You allow your life to unfold at a human pace. Confidence returns not because everything improves instantly, but because you trust that stagnation is not eternal. There will be shifts you cannot predict, opportunities you cannot see yet, conversations that change direction, insights that redirect your path. But you must stay open long enough to meet them. Impermanence is not only about loss, it is also about possibility. The same law that allows things to fall apart allows them to come together. The same truth that ended certain chapters will open others. Right now, you may feel like you have failed at life, but life is still moving, breath by breath, choice by choice. Nothing is frozen unless you decide it is. Let impermanence be your reassurance. This is not the end of your becoming, it is a turning, and turnings always lead somewhere new. Lesson 6. Practice compassion for yourself. Confidence grows where kindness lives. After failure, the harshest voice you will hear is often your own. It does not shout, it whispers. You should be further by now. You ruined your chances. Other people manage. Why can't you? You don't deserve another opportunity. This inner voice can become so familiar that you mistake it for truth. But in Buddhist wisdom, self-criticism is not clarity. It is a form of suffering, and suffering cannot heal suffering. If you want to rebuild your confidence after failing at life, you must begin here. You must become a safe place for yourself. The Buddha taught loving kindness, metta, not only toward others, but toward oneself. Because without self-compassion, growth becomes punishment, effort becomes self-attack, improvement becomes fueled by shame, and shame does not create lasting confidence, it creates fear. Pause for a moment. If a close friend came to you and said, "I've failed at everything. I feel behind. I don't believe in myself anymore," how would you respond? Would you say, "You're right. You've been through a lot. You're learning. You still have time"? Notice how naturally compassion arises for others. Now ask yourself, why do I withhold that same understanding from myself? Confidence is not built by tearing yourself down and demanding better performance. It is built by creating inner stability, a sense that no matter what happens, you will not abandon yourself. This does not mean avoiding responsibility. It means holding yourself accountable without cruelty. When you make a mistake, instead of saying, "I am useless," say, "I am learning." When you feel behind, instead of, "I've wasted my life," say, "I am still becoming." Language shapes the nervous system. Harsh words trigger threat responses. Gentle words restore balance. In meditation practice, loving kindness begins with simple phrases. You might try this quietly, even now. May I be patient with myself. May I learn from my mistakes. May I rebuild with courage. May I forgive what I did not know. At first, this may feel uncomfortable, especially if you are used to motivating yourself through pressure. But pressure eventually collapses. Kindness sustains. Many people believe that if they stop being hard on themselves, they will become lazy. But consider this: has self-criticism truly created lasting success in your life? Or has it created cycles of burnout and avoidance? When you feel safe internally, you take risks more freely. You try again without fearing that failure will destroy your identity. You speak up without fearing self-condemnation. Compassion creates resilience, and resilience creates confidence. There is also humility in self-compassion. You accept that you are human, that you will misjudge situations, that you will trust the wrong people sometimes, that you will choose poorly under pressure. This is not weakness, it is realism. The Buddha never promised a life without difficulty. He offered a path of awareness and kindness through difficulty. If you failed at something important, it means you tried, you cared, you stepped forward at some point. That matters. Confidence does not require a perfect record. It requires a stable inner ground. And that ground is built through repeated acts of self-support. When you wake up tomorrow, notice your first thought about yourself. If it is critical, pause. Place a hand over your chest and say quietly, "I am allowed to begin again." Over time, this practice changes your internal climate. The storm of judgment softens, space opens, creativity returns, motivation feels less forced and more natural. You stop rebuilding your life out of panic. You begin rebuilding it out of care, and that makes all the difference. Confidence rooted in self-compassion is steady. It does not collapse with the next mistake. It does not depend entirely on outcomes. It grows because you trust that, no matter what happens, you will respond with understanding instead of hostility. And when you become your own ally, rebuilding your life no longer feels like punishment. It feels like healing. Rebuilding your confidence after failure is not about becoming someone new. It is about remembering who you are beneath shame, comparison, and fear. Take one lesson, practice it gently. Begin again tomorrow. If this reflection supported you, subscribe to Mindfulness for more Buddhist wisdom, healing guidance, and peaceful motivation. You are not behind, you are unfolding, and your life is still worthy of patience, courage, and compassion.